How to turn your old, tired motorcycle fender into something sleek and modern. Coming up next. What's up everybody, this is Monty with House to David MC, and today is part 11 of our GN250 series, where we're talking about how to modernize that rear fender. This fender modification is really going to clean up our back end and make it look super dope. We're also going to install all of our rear lights, it's our brake lights and our blinkers, and create some brackets to bring them all together. So with all that being said, let's get to it. So in building this fender, we're going to use the existing mounting points on the original fender where the taillight assembly was attached, and we're going to use these mounting points to create some spots on the rear hoop to attach, and then also we're going to create a little space ultimately to attach to the electrical tray to keep it firm and in place. So this is our side profile. This is how much of the fender is going to be sticking out of the end. Here to here, we're going to use these bolts. We're going to these mounting points are going to mount it here, so we're just going to have a short little fender out the rear, and so the only thing left to do is remove some of this fender. And as we do, as we cut it up, it's going to suck up in here, and we're not going to have so much of this. We're going to have to cut a little bit off of this, but we're not going to have this thick monstrosity. So I'm just going to take some rough measurements with my marker, and then we'll get to some fabrication. So my intent is when we cut this, we create a little flap that's going to fold down, and so it'll be able to be at an angle to bolt into here. So from the outside of this mounting hole right here to our rough guesstimation line, looks like it's about 3 inches on this side, so we're going to use that as a reference to the other side to get somewhat of a straight line on this cut. So with our little side measurements, we'll use our painter's tape to get us a somewhat straight line to cut on. That's pretty good. I was just about to make a big mistake and cut this thing too short, and I realized I put our original tape on the line where the fender actually stops before the bend that we're going to use to create the bracket mounting point. So I went back and just used another piece of tape and put it right up against our original line. I'm going to use this as the basis for cutting it, so this will end up being our flap that we actually mount to. So we've chopped our fender and we've created this little tab in the back that we're now going to start bending and get it in the right angle to where it'll line up with the back of our electrical tray. We'll start with something like that first and see how it looks. Dang, talking about being on point. That is just about perfect. So now we want to adjust the profile. We want to get rid of all this funk. So I'm thinking we're going to take a line starting right about here and head to this back corner like this, so it'll be really straight. Like. So we're just doing some rough measurements here, guys. I'm going to use some tape to kind of measure off the center of the fenders. So with our tape as our center line, we'll measure from there. It looks like it's about 2 3/4. And on this side, it looks like it's about 2 3/4. So now that we have our rough measurements, we're gonna again use some tape mark off our line. Here's the fender all taped up. That's what we're going for. Looks pretty symmetrical. Let's go with cutting. So here it is cut, guys. So let's just clean up those edges. So here it is all cleaned up, and here it is in place. Well, basically. Custom fender. So we already removed our center tape, but I'm gonna add another one. So that we can create a center hole back here for mounting to our electrical tray. So that's essentially center. So right about here is where we'll pop our hole. Now that we've got our fender all shaped up and the holes punched, we're going to prep it for some paint. We're going to use an 80 grit to start scuffing up this chrome and then move to a 120. So now we're just going to mark our frame for popping our holes to attach the fender. So we've let our 2 coats of primer dry overnight, so now we're just gonna add our black. So here's the final piece of the puzzle. It's our tail light. So we're just gonna measure our fender and put it in place. Okay, so the last thing we're gonna do to finish up our back end is create some brackets for our blinkers, which are gonna be mounted on the tops of our shock mounts. So this is the blinker that we're gonna use. It's just a teeny tiny LED blinker, and it's gonna be mounted just right above our rear shock, around here, somewhere like that. And so what we're gonna do is fabricate a little bracket. It's gonna actually take the place of one of these washers right here, and then it's going to give us a place to mount our blinker. So here we go, guys. Really simple bracket. This piece is going to slide over the shock axle, and then our blinker will attach into here. So here's our tail end, guys. Brake lights, blinkers, Looking good. So if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel down below. Like the videos, make comments, share them with your friends. As always, this has been Monty with House of David, taking one motor, one revelation at a time.